the International Animation Film Festival in Annecy, where today a milestone movie will be presented, the first painted feature film involving Vincent van Gogh, one of the most famous artists, of course, in the world, a painted movie that takes you into the world of Vincent van Gogh called Loving Vincent. And now I have with me two of the actors in the film. And now we're talking, it's a painted movie, yet there are actors in the film. And how that is possible, we'll be discussing in a minute. So I have Robert Gulaczyk sitting here next to me, and then Douglas Booth. You both have major roles in the film. And to jump right in, Eden from London actually is wondering how the filming process felt, and how was that different from other films that you have made before? Who wants to?
Maybe Douglas, because for me it was my first movie. It's my debut, so maybe Douglas could answer on
So
this.
he can tell you now
Yeah.
how that is different.
It was actually very similar. The main difference was that we shot it very quickly. I think it was about 4 weeks in London and 2 weeks in Poland. Roughly, that's what I shot, I think. So we shot it like in a very high speed. But then the painters then had to go and paint it for 2 years afterwards. So, but very, very similar, except for we shot a lot of it on green screen. But what I almost didn't realize before I started the film was how specific they were going to be about every scene of the movie takes place almost within one of his paintings. So if we were in a cafe, every table had to be lined up exactly the way it was lined up in the other painting. And so, you know, even if the waitress went down and put a cup of coffee down on the side, as soon as the camera got there, for a split second, it was just like a still life that Van Gogh had painted. So there was so much detail in a very short amount of time. So it was very high pressure, but it was an absolute joy, and we were surrounded by incredible actors, so it was pretty much normal from my point of view.
And that sort of accuracy didn't drive you crazy, that you constantly had to...
No, because it came from a complete place, from a place of absolute passion about this artist and wanting to just push this as far as possible and serve him as an artist and us as fans of his art as far as possible, and try and get as much out of it as possible. Because often you make a movie about an artist and you sort of lose his art in a sense, but this really puts his art at the very center of telling his story.
Yes, indeed, well put. And I was wondering actually what it was like when you first heard about the idea, when you were approached. Did you think, what crazy stuff is that? Or, you know, you were immediately excited about it? Did you have a connection with Vincent van Gogh before you even got engaged with film?
It's a funny history because 3 years ago, for the first time in the age of 31, I have heard that I look like Vincent. So when my agent called me, I thought, what? And I completely don't know what's happened. Of course, I know Vincent and his art, because he's, I think, the most popular painter in the world. But when I saw the trailer, I completely got in the project. It was beautiful for me from the first time.
Yeah, they cut together. There was about 2 or 3 minutes of footage which they sent us when they sent us the project, which was, I think it was the train moving across a bridge and a couple of and Armand walking through a painting, which was just that they looked so stunning. So you instantly, you know, you instantly want to get involved, even if it was just vanity. Thought I'd love to see myself painted for that period of time. But I actually didn't know as much about Van Gogh. You know, he's one of those artists who's so popular, but yet I'd never really looked into him so much. It was actually really amazing for me to sort of find out as much as I did about him. The fact that he only started painting so late in his life and painted such a great amount, and you know, and so the hardships that he went through, and how that pushed him into a complete Arthur plays a genius. So I really loved going on this journey and discovering the same that my character did. I felt like my journey as Douglas was almost the same as Armand. Armand at the beginning of our movie doesn't really particularly think much of Vincent. He thought he was a bit of this weird, strange guy. And then we'll see. By the end, he goes on this journey and he really sort of learns sort of who the man really is, which was a bit like my journey too as an actor.
Excellent. That's great. And so from, in fact, your fan club in Italy, I don't know whether you knew you had one, but your fan club is actually asking what your favorite Van Gogh painting is.
I don't know them by name, but I went to the Van Gogh Museum about a year ago, which is really special. I'm sure all of you, if you're following this, you've probably been. There were a couple that I really liked. I'll tell you the ones I bought from the postcard shop. There was one. You have to tell me which one it is. It's very light blue with paintings. I think they're on the. Is it on the shoes here? This one was so stunning. I love the sowing the seed. That one I love. I bought the skeleton smoking. Yeah. I think that's very cool. That's one of my favorite ones. But to be honest, there's so many. And what I love so much going to the museum was how his painting changed in such a short period of time. Where it started from, and he was painting some incredible scenes of people around dinner tables, wasn't he, eating, and it was really dark and moody, and then he just sort of went to the south. He went to the south of France, and just the colour exploded, and he has such an incredible journey in such a short amount of time, which is, So I still haven't found my favourite painting, but the one with the skull smoking, I think, is pretty cool.
Maybe there's a biographical connection with regards to the smoking. But that is also then the question, because, of course, you turn into paintings, as it were, being actors and then in the film. So Carola from Italy also asks what it feels like to see yourself. Of course, you've seen yourself on the screen, but how is it then seeing yourself actually not really as yourself, but then as an animated figure, in a painting, as it were?
For me, it's not different, because I completely hate see on myself in the screen, and this is funny, because when I saw the first Dorota send me the first tests with my face, and it was wow. For the first time, I could saw my face.
It adds a magical quality. It's often you go on your journey alone as an actor, and your performance, I mean, it gets edited and a director can sort of send it one way or the other, but you're out there alone on your own. But here, it's the first time you get a collaboration with a second artist, which is some artist you'll speak to in a second, where they have their interpretation on your performance too. If they wanted to bring out a bit of color in your cheeks, they can. So they can sort of add almost a second dimension or a second performance in there. There's two performances. One is mine and one is the artist. So that's what I think is so special. It's pretty special to share that with another artist. That's what I really, really loved about seeing myself in that way.
Yeah, of course, because in that film, that's unique about this film, that you actually turn into the animated character, whereas normally in animation, as actors, you do the voiceovers for characters that are otherwise completely drawn. And Lexi, another fan, of course, is asking, what did you do to prepare for the role? Did you immerse yourself in Van Gogh and the world around it, or did you just go and you got the script and just do it? You both have been to the museum, so tell us a bit more about that.
The first, I didn't cut my ear, but I saw his paintings in. It was before in Paris, in Musée d'Orsay. I was in Arles. The city on the south France, and for me, and the most important was to read his letters, because I think there is whole Vincent in his letters, and I think it's the best source to create him for me. Yeah.
For me, it was a collaboration with our directors. As we said, my character was kind of a blank page. So it was a process of having this great costume, which is this bright yellow jacket that he wears, and this hat, putting that on, shaving the rest of my beard, so I just had the moustache. And by the end of that, once I'd done that, and it was truly just a process of discovery for me. We went through the movie pretty quickly. I don't know if we did it chronologically. No, we didn't. We didn't do it chronologically. We tried as much as we could. But it was just a process of discovery and him going on this journey and sort of taking the direction from these two who had a very clear vision of what they wanted him to be, and then just bringing a bit of my own, bring my own spirit to it, my own discovery. And I think I've actually created, at the end of the day, when I look back, I've created something that's quite different from myself. It's quite a different character than I've ever played before. I mean, I've played everything from Boy George to the son of Noah. But this is very unlike anything I've done performance-wise. I remember when I came to the studio to visit the painters, they all found it quite strange. They all expected me to walk in with the slight swagger of Armand Roulin. They didn't quite recognize Douglas. But yeah, no, it was a complete collaboration with my directors.
Excellent. And so the last question, just briefly, Gianluca from Italy asking, and I was wondering about that too. What, now that you've been on that journey, that you have lived with and through the life of Vincent, as it were, has he acquired meaning for you? What does he represent for you now? Any of you?
I think Vincent is example for non-compromise artists, and that's the big and huge lesson. Yeah, huge lesson from his life. Right. Even if you can't solve any painting.
I mean, that sounds pretty perfect to me. Yeah, that's a pretty great lesson to take away. I've just really kind of just learned the great triumph of his achievements and what he managed to achieve in such little time, and it also how you can come to something late. You don't have to do it from a very early age, and you can always achieve greatness if you put your mind to it, or if you just put your soul to it, probably is the better word.
Great way to conclude it. So thank you very much to both of you.